to A1R Psychic Radio. You're here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope wherever you are in this amazing planet that you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Here it's sort of the local weather report is overcast, humid, muggy, and it's trying to rain, and we're supposed to be coming into a weather event. I'm not complaining though, because I think it's a wonderful time of the year. The weather's starting to warm up here, and I'm a real summer person, so it's quite exciting to me that the weather's starting to warm and things are starting to move, and we're getting closer to Christmas. Isn't that exciting? And I know many of you roll your eyes and say she's not talking about that already, but I think it's time we start talking about it, because we need some excitement, we need some magic, we need some joy in our lives. We've had so much doom and gloom and pandemics and world leaders jumping all over the planet trying to save the planet, and all they're doing is blowing hot air and not really coming up with solutions, that I think we need something magical, something mystical to sort of look forward to, and something that brings us brightness and hope and sort of gives us the promise that maybe next year's going to be better. And that's why I love Christmas so much, because it is such an uplifting time of the year. Even though it's an expensive time of the year, it gives us promise and such hope. Now, this leads me into the Simply Tarot card of the week this week, which is the Nine of Cups. Now, the Nine of Cups is improvements underway. Yippee, I hear you say. We can all do with that. We have to make sure that we're not feeling a little bit smug or pleased with ourselves. Now, I don't know that there's too many people around the world at the moment that are feeling in a smug position. Most of us are still trying to, navigate coming out the other side of this pandemic, and for many people they still feel as if they're in the middle of the pandemic. So I don't know that there's too many people feeling smug, and if you are, well, good luck to you. And if you're feeling pleased with something that's going on in your life, I really want to take my hat off to you, because it's the time, I think, that we've got to start to celebrate the little things in our lives that do make us feel happy, that do make us feel pleased, that do put a smile on our dial, and maybe even just slightly make us feel a tiny bit smug. So if you're feeling that way, congratulations. It means life is certainly being kind to you at the moment, and that's what we all hope for. We want life to be kind to us. Now, it's really interesting, again, I know I say this every week, astrologically, times just seem to be so full of information at the moment. We have a lot of emphasis on the Scorpio energy, because we are in the Scorpio time of the year. And I have a lot of people that have messaged me and inboxed me and everything and says, Amanda, why am I feeling so heavy? Why do I feel like I'm sort of dragging myself through the day, that I just don't seem to have any sort of motivation? I know I've got a lot of things I've got to achieve, but my emotions feel sort of very heavy, not necessarily stuck, but sort of heavy. It's like I can't lift them off my shoulders. Now, it's not uncommon when we're in the Scorpio time of the year to feel our emotions in a very intense sort of way, because the energy is asking each and every one of us, regardless of your sign, to start really analysing and looking at yourself and understanding where the emotional triggers come from. Is there anything that you've hidden from yourself, hidden from loved ones, that needs to see the light of day now, that needs to be brought to the surface, that needs to be sort of talked about or discussed or put down some long-term plans? It doesn't necessarily mean that it always has to be heavy going. I like to look at the Scorpio energy as giving us the energy, the stickability, the determination, the stubbornness to be able to achieve things. Now, sometimes we have to do that in a less dramatic way, or a way where it seems like it's hard work, that we've really got to put the extra effort in to make it happen. So if you look at the Scorpio energy in that way, and not look at it in a negative, but try and turn that into a positive, that thank goodness that you're feeling this way, so that you can sort it out, you can process it, you can move things along, you can really confront the issues that maybe you haven't had time to confront for the rest of the year. That now is the time, and now is the time to be brutally honest with ourselves and with those that are around us. And it may not be the easiest time, and, tempers might flare a little bit and things like that, but sometimes that's a good thing too, because if we get the storm out of the road, then we get the calm. People often say the calm before the storm, and then when we have the storm, it explodes, and then we're left with this beautiful, serene, fresh, calm feeling, usually after a storm, where everything's been cleansed and everything feels revitalized and renewed and the opportunity to start again. So if you look at the Scorpio energy in a little bit in that way, you might sort of come to terms with it a little bit more and be more sympathetic and understanding of it, that we all need to work with the different energies of the zodiac as the year passes. And it's not just when it's in our own sign should we be celebrating it. We need to celebrate the other 11 signs as well. And I know that, many of my Scorpio clients have been saying to me, wow, this seems to be the most difficult time of the year this year. My birthday month isn't sort of a year of celebration. And for a lot of those people, it's a number of things from the past coming to a head, things that they've tried to resolve over the years, and they've tried to not so much take the easy way out, but tried to take the higher road and be condescending or allowing other people their thoughts, their issues, their whatevers. But now it's come to a time where you need to take a stand and say enough. I'm going to draw a line under this once and for all, and we're going to resolve this. Even if it's painful, it is going to be sorted out, because 2022 is going to be a different year and we're not going to have any of this nonsense. So for many Scorpios, there's a lot of confronting to do, a lot of really serious issues coming to a head that you can no longer push down and say, we'll do that tomorrow or next week or next year. It's come to a head now. Now's the time. Now, at the moment, we also have the planet of communication is in Scorpio. Now, when Mercury sits in any sign, it really does amplify the way that we approach our communication. So all communication at the moment for every single sign has a Scorpio flavour at the moment. So it means that we can be very forthright. We can seem a little bit cold. We can seem as if we're very, very serious and we've got an important issue to deal with, even if it might only be trivial, but we put our serious hat on and we say this is going to be resolved now once and for all. So just be aware of that we don't sort of maybe come on too strong if we don't really need to. Keep that power for the important issues, for the important disagreements or battles that you might have to confront. Keep that really serious energy, that strong, intense energy for that. So we do have Mercury, the planet of communication, is actually conjunct or holding hands with Mars, the planet of action. Now, why does this sort of concern me so much? Well, when you've got Mercury and Mars together, Mercury, the planet of communication, Mars is the planet of action, well, then sometimes we can get some very fiery, explosive, very bossy sort of energy coming from Mars. And when you couple that with communication, it can lead to fireworks. This is the time when it's not a really good time to sit down and have the deep and meaningful. If you have any inkling that it will lead to a confrontation or it will lead to an argument, now is not the time. Leave it for a couple of days, leave it for a week. Only tackle the things that you know that you need that extra oomph of energy to sort of pluck up the courage to do so. Don't go in a combative or an aggressive or an argumentative manner, because you will absolutely achieve nothing. And it's not the time to be dictatorial to people and sort of laying the law down or getting out there and sort of preaching to people. It's a time to be a little bit more sympathetic and a little bit more empathetic. I wish politicians around the world would take a leaf out of that book and stop dictating to all of us at what we should and shouldn't be doing as they're trying to get their own message across, instead of listening to the people. So it's a time to do a little bit more listening than it is a little bit more talking. We still have the sun in Scorpio. The sun will be there till approximately the 22nd of this month. So we still have, a week and a half to go. We have to be very aware at the moment that we have Venus, the planet of love and affection, has moved into Capricorn. Now, what does this mean? Venus is the planet of where we look for the things in life that we love to do, or the things that make us feel passion, or the things that we feel connected to in a loving, gentle sort of energy. Now, the fact that it's only in the early degrees of Capricorn says to me, for many of us, we're now starting to refocus our energies and the things that we love to do, or the things that we know that we've got to do something about or get some passion behind, is starting to look at the important areas of our lives, like starting to sort out our finances, starting to look at what we have learnt in this last nearly 2 years of a pandemic. What are the things that have come to the surface? What are the changes that have stood out like neon lights that we have to make changes in our lives? Now, for many people, this may not be an easy transition. It may not be easy. You've got the answers there, but you don't know how to put it all into action. It's all well and fine having ideas and solutions, but if you haven't got the means or the ability to change or transform things, then that can become a frustration too, because you know what's got to change, but finances don't allow it, or the job doesn't allow it, or you can't move yet because of other situations, or you'd like to move but you can't because you won't have a job to go to. There's many times many limitations that come in, even though Venus is trying to show us the things that are going to make our hearts sing, that are going to make us feel passionate and bring some sort of stability into our lives with the things that we love to do. It is only in the very early stages, so we need to be aware of that. So it might seem a little bit illuminated, a little bit exaggerated at the moment. It's not necessarily the time that we should be acting unless it's absolutely necessary. It's the time to sort of harness that energy, to understand the triggers and sit down and look at the possibilities or the potential. I know a lot of my clients around the world are on the move. A lot of people have relocated and moved back to places that they never thought they'd have the opportunity to go back to again, because they can work remotely and things like this. And for many people, they still sort of feel very much up in the air, that they don't really know what their destiny is or what the next steps are. Can I just sort of say to you or suggest to you, just take your time. It's not a race. We don't all have to have this sorted out this week. We can sort of take our time and look at things in a more calm sort of way, and look at the ability that we have the ability to change our lives very definitely, but we don't always have to be in a race. We can do it slowly, deliberately, and definitely. And that's what Pluto's role is in Capricorn, as he still has another couple of years there, but he's nearing his very long transit, being there since 2008. And he's asking us to just sort of slow down, take a couple of deep breaths, chill a little bit, have a bit of a chill pill. We've had some emotional triggers that have sort of made us look at things in different sort of ways. And, we've now just got to wait for the openings to happen, for the opportunities to unfold. We may know the direction we want to go, and yes, we've got to put effort into it, but we don't have to put timelines on it that it puts so much stress on our lives that it's ridiculous. Let's just, send it out to the universe. And yes, we've got to give the universe a helping hand. I don't believe you sit on the couch and write out your lists and then expect the universe to deliver. You do have to actively participate, but you also have to have patience in that game as well, that not everything comes to us in the timeline that we would like or the timeline that we think is appropriate. And not everything comes to us because that's not necessarily what's the best for us. Even though we might think it is, the universe might have a different plan. They have the master plan. We're just puppets in our own lives. So we're going to take our first call, which is Carla in Mobile in Alabama. Are you there, Carla?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Hi, sweetie. Do you have a question I can work with, please, Carla?
I am going through a total upheaval in my life. I'm going through a nasty divorce. He left me penniless, stole my kid over a year ago. I'm just trying to find some direction with it. I can't get any help. I'm legally blind. I am a spiritual artist. I work with spirit also, but I guess I'm too close to the situation to understand what they're saying.
Yeah, sometimes, Carla, we're our own worst enemy, aren't we? Being in the business, so to speak, that we can help everybody else and can't seem to help ourselves. And I think that's sort of a very common problem. And it's not that we can't help ourselves. I sort of feel it's like we're not necessarily meant to have all the answers, because then we'd be leaps and bounds ahead of other people. But I do appreciate what you're saying, and I'm really sorry that this last 12, 18 months has been so difficult. It's never an easy time when a marriage comes to an end, but it's even worse when that person that you once upon a time were madly in love with and you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with and you had so many hopes and dreams, all of a sudden turns into a monster, somebody that you don't even recognise or even understand how they could have evolved into that. And then I think we go through a process where we blame ourselves, that how come we were too silly to see it? That, why didn't we sense this? Why didn't we see the warning signs? Why did we go down this path? And the only answer I have for that is it was our destiny to be with that person. We had some karma, some lessons, whatever label you want to put on it, to work through. And once that sort of is paid, or, I look at it like a debt, once the debt's been repaid, then, we move on. I understand what you're saying about not having any help and everything, and I wish I could wave a magic wand and fix that. But what they're showing me on a psychic level is you've just got to hang on till the end of this year. If you can do that and not try and make any decisions that aren't absolutely necessary, doors will start to fly open as we head into the new year, because in a strange sort of way, Carla, I'm going to say you're ahead of where you're supposed to be. Now, that might sound a stupid comment to make, but if we've been
No, it's
given...
not. I understand that completely. Because, like I said, I'm a seer, and Father has been really opening my eyes to a lot. So I can understand that comment.
Oh, good, because, yeah, and I mean, you know, I was going to go on to say that, you know, you've just done so well with what was put in front of you that you're sort of ahead of their timetable. So it's interesting because from where I sit, even though you've been the one that's been through the financial ringer every which way that you could be possibly dragged through it, the person that you're getting the divorce from hasn't yet really begun to experience the fallout that's going to come from the choices and the things that they did and said and whatever. I would not like to be in their shoes.
Yeah,
And it's not necessarily
him and his family have done some really nasty things, and that's part of what God has showed me.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's not so much that you're going to sit back and say, oh, wow, well, they deserve everything that's coming to them. I don't mean it in that way. It's just sort of like they are sort of running around feeling very important at the moment, like literally that they think they've got away with everything. And when things start to settle down and when they least expect it, it's like whammo, in comes karma, and it's going to knock them for six. And it's not that you're going to sit back and gloat because you're not that sort of person, but you're going to sit back and sort of say to yourself, well, yeah, I can see why that happened. You know, there's no emotion attached to it. And it's not that you...
No, I'm not putting out any negative vibes at all for them.
As people share things with you, you're going to say, well, yeah, I can understand why that happened. You know what I mean? Like, it's just sort of like, in a sense, a proof thing to you that everything that you've believed in and the rules that you've lived your life by are now showing you that you're on the right path. You know, it's more like a proof thing to you that your belief systems are not wrong, that everything that you've stood for is becoming stronger. So, I mean, I'm certainly seeing an increase in money.
I was going to ask, do you see my spiritual art becoming something that I can use to make profitable, or should I continue just posting it on Facebook and hoping it touches people's lives and for the best?
Oh, no, I do think it's going to become profitable. I mean, I'm certainly seeing an increase in money, and that's only one area. Are you planning another move? Is there another move on the horizon early 2022?
I have no idea. He left me in a home that was completely in shambles, electrically and everything else. I mean, after he moved out, I even found out there was a $450,000 fire policy on the house with a catastrophic loss of life. I mean, he was expecting this place to go up in flames. That's how bad a shape that he left it in. So I hope I don't end up having to stay, know what to do, where to go, where else to go.
Yeah, what they were showing me psychically was that there was a move coming up, I would have thought, in the early part of next year. And to me, it was sort of coming out of nowhere. It's like coming out of left of field. But what they showed me around it was very positive signs, as if this is something the universe has got planned. You've just got to go with the flow. And once that sort of all starts to unravel, life is going to start to become more and more beautiful again. I know at the moment the last thing you want to hear about is probably new romance, but they are showing me that is one of the things that they've got planned for 2022 too, is the fact that new romance, that there will be somebody new coming into your life, but that's not in the early.
No, I wasn't expecting that. Jesus is my man.
No, and that's not till probably this time next year. You know, like there's so many other things to have happened before that, like getting you into a place that's really safe and secure, getting your finances starting to sort of trickle back in, really getting into your own spiritual development. And I don't even know that the art is necessarily going to be the main money spinner for you. I think there's going to be another side of your spiritual self that you'll turn into an income stream as well. So whether that's helping people by doing readings, I'm not sure. They weren't showing me an exact label for that, but they were just showing me that there's many beautiful surprises to come, and you've just got to hang on till the end of the year. Just take hour by hour. If you can do that, you'll be perfectly
Hour by
fine.
hour, that's it. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Carla.
Do you see me being able to be with my son again, my youngest? Like I said, I've
Yes,
seen him
absolutely.
4 hours in 11 months.
Yeah, no, I think he'll be back in your care and control by about March.
What's that?
He'll be back with you full time by about March.
By March?
Yeah, by March. Yes, it's going to be very sudden. That's what I said. The universe has got a lot of surprising, very wonderful things in store.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
So you just keep going, sweetheart, 1 hour at a time.
Thank you, ma'am. That right there is the biggest blessing to hear.
You're very welcome, Carla. Have a nice Christmas and look forward to the new year. We're going to speak with Wendy now in Brandon in Mississippi. Are you there, Wendy?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Wendy?
Ma'am?
Do you have a question I can answer for you?
Just seeing what you have to, what anything you can tell me. I'm going through a difficult time in my life right now.
I can certainly see that, because the first thing that they were showing me, Wendy, is a number of endings, changes and transformations. And this last little bit is going to seem like the hardest. It's like every minute that you're living at the moment feels like a year. Now, look, I'm not trying to minimize what you're going through, and I'm not trying to say to you that you're handling it wrong, because I don't believe you are. But I think you just need to again, take minute by minute. Don't try and sort out things that are for next week or the week after. Let's just try and stay in the now as much as possible. Who's the dark-headed person? And they didn't show me whether it was male or female. I just got them from behind with very dark hair, almost black. Somebody that I'm going to say has caused you a lot of trauma. Who's that?
Would they be living or past?
They didn't show me that either. They just showed me, it sounds peculiar because they showed me sort of like the top half of someone's head up, and that's all I got was very dark hair. I would have almost said black hair. Whoever that is, or whatever you can relate that to, that particular area of your life is coming to a close. It's like I want to get the door and slam it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
And I want to slam it shut for once and for all. It's got to be slammed shut. So obviously you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. You don't need to elaborate. That's just a very strong message for you. We don't need the whole world to know your personal business around that. But they were very, very clear with that message coming through that will give you answers to a lot of things, that you'll know what I'm talking about. It's interesting because I feel as we head towards the end of November, things start to loosen up a little bit. The sunshine starts to come in, like your life is starting to improve quite drastically, quite quickly. Look, I'm not saying you're going to all of a sudden have oodles of money and everything's going to be perfect, but it's certainly a lot better than what it has been. And you can start to sort of get a little bit of momentum back in your life again, that you can start to even allow yourself to get a little bit excited, sort of thinking, wow, I think things are finally turning the corner. Yes, they are. Again, it's sort of like we've just got to hang on to the end of this year. I think for you, we've probably got to hang on to the first couple of weeks in the new year, and then things really catapult forward very quickly then. It's been a really rotten year is all I want to say that you've been through. It's been like no matter which way you turned and who you thought you could rely on, it's like all of a sudden they were false, or they were hollow, or they were sort of not who you expected them to be or who you believed they were. And it was like, am I losing my mind? Am I not able to sort of make a decision and sort of follow my own judgment? I'm going to say to you, just push all that out of your mind. This has got nothing to do with whether or not that you are able to make a conscious decision at whether you can trust somebody or you can't. What the universe is doing, and I'm going to blame the universe, is the fact that they're pushing all your lessons to happen really quickly. It's like, let's concentrate them and get them out of the road in 6 to 12 months instead of 10 years. And this is why
Yes,
everything
ma'am.
seems so exaggerated and out of control. It's not for you to turn around and think that you're losing your capability of being able to make a judgment, because that's not what they're trying to teach you. They're trying to teach you to just go with the moment. You know, if at this moment you don't trust Fred, then you don't trust him. If tomorrow you trust him, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, just live in the moment. And we had to clear
Yes, ma'am.
we had to clear these people out of the road that weren't good for your soul. You're such a giving person, Wendy, and you've given so much to everybody else that people were just using and abusing that. So it was like we had to slam that door shut all of a sudden, that Wendy was not going to be this kind, wonderful, giving person to everybody. You were going to start taking care of Wendy. And that's, I think, the
Yes,
lesson
ma'am.
here, darling, is you have to start taking care of you. And it's okay to cry. You know, sometimes we've got to cry just to let the emotion out. If we don't let it out, then it festers inside of us and causes sickness. So we don't want that either. So, you know, if
That's
all of a
what's
sudden
going
you feel like
on.
bursting into tears, just do it. You know, don't worry about what anybody else thinks. It's the universe again's way of getting you to sort of clear all this stuff out so we can take you into the wishing well of some really amazing things to happen, particularly next year. So just keep putting one foot in front of the other, take minute by minute, and know you haven't done anything wrong, sweetheart. So that's where we're going to have to leave, Wendy. We've come to the end of the show again. The show does go very quickly, doesn't it? I mean, you know, each week we sort of whiz through half an hour in a matter of seconds, but that's okay. I mean, you know, we're all on the journey together. We're all in this journey together, and we've all had a difficult year. And it's time now that I think that we start looking after ourselves a little bit more and start forgiving ourselves and letting go and saying not everything is our fault. Sometimes we just have to be able to live in the moment and to be able to be just who we are and be true to ourselves. And that brings me to the Song of the Week by Neil Diamond, I Am, I Said. And if you listen to the words of that, it's a man coming to terms with who he is and what he stands for, and it's just okay to just be you. And I think that's a very powerful song and a very powerful message for each and every one of us. I am, I said. And, you know, we are allowed to stand on our own piece of turf and just be who we are. So until next week, have a great week. And don't forget, get your Christmas decorations out, get those songs on the turntable, and let's have some happiness and some positivity as we head towards the festive time of the year and the magical time of the year where we can dream and hope for a much, much better future. So until next week, bye for now.